Hello, everybody. Welcome to TrekAt2. You see two familiar faces and two potentially new faces. Unless you saw our Instagram post earlier today, we did a Veterans Day post and we had Carl photographed in there. And then you saw us mention his mom, Equilla, who is also on with us today. Guys, welcome to TrekAt2.
Thank you. It's so awesome to be here. Thanks for having us.
Yes, and we love to see the uniform. Thank you for putting that on today, Carl.
Thank you.
So today's a pretty special day. You guys, if you're on social media, which we know you are because you're watching this on Facebook Live, you're probably seeing a lot of Veterans Day posts, right, everybody? Aaron, have you been seeing those?
I have been seeing a lot, yes. Today is Veterans Day, a big day for our country, actually a big day kind of all around the world. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit. And as you mentioned, Equilla and Carl, Equilla sent us a photograph of her son, Carl, that has kind of a Veterans Day theme. And we reached out to her, and it turns out there's kind of an interesting story that goes by. There's the photograph. You can see it right there. Obviously, a really cool photograph. We see that a lot this time of year, right? Scouts, BSA members, Cub Scouts. At the time this photo was taken, Carl was a Webelos Scout. He is currently a Scouts BSA member in Troop 467. They are in Little Rock, Arkansas. There's lots of cool stuff to talk about, Gina. This photo is now actually in a museum in Little Rock. The family here, the Walker family, has a lot of Scouts in their family. She was telling us earlier, a couple of them are, one of them is just earned his Eagle, one is almost there. Maybe Carl in a few years, who knows? They also have some veterans in their family. Gina, we're going to just ask them tons and tons of questions. They're going to be exhausted by the time we're done with them here. So thank you guys for joining us. So we really appreciate it.
One of my favorite things is we see a lot of vintage photos, people paying tribute to the men and women who, served overseas. Potentially you might have some like old vintage photos, but this one's cool because it's vibrant. It's a modern picture. And Carl, you're not a veteran, right? But you were paying tribute to a veteran in your family. Is that right?
Yes.
Who was it?
It was my great-grandfather. He fought in World War II.
Wow.
That's very cool.
And then Equilla, how did you, tell us the story, I guess, a little bit behind this. How did the photo come to be? And what's the reaction been like?
Sure. So we were visiting my great-grandfather and also my grandmother. So at the Veterans Cemetery, wives of veterans are also able to be buried with their spouse. So on one side of the headstone is my great-grandfather, Alvester Walls, and he is from Woodson, Arkansas. And on the other side is my grandmother. So, of course, bringing my camera, I'm a professional photographer, I'm a teaching artist, and so I pretty much bring my camera everywhere. So Carl, I think he may have been dressed for a meeting that day, or we were supposed to do an event, and we actually went to the wrong cemetery. So I said, well, we're going to take pictures to show that you actually showed up, but we went to the wrong cemetery for our scout activity. And so I just wanted to document that he was there, and it just turned out to be an awesome photo. So again, it's my great-grandfather. We have several veterans in our family. My father, who just passed recently, he was a Vietnam vet. My great-grandfather, he was in the Army, World War II. There was also my great-great-grandfather, Herschel Harvey Gray, who was in World War I. On Carl's father's side, there was also another veteran, Lee Walker. He was a World War II. He was in the Navy. So quite a few veterans on both sides of the family.
So the photo, just so everybody knows, the photo was taken at Little Rock Veterans Cemetery. Do I have that right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And it's currently on display at the Liberty Square Gallery in downtown Little Rock, Arkansas. If anybody happens to be in Little Rock or you drive by, go visit the Little Square Gallery. It will be there until January 30th of next year, Gina. So you guys have plenty of time. If you're in the area, stop by the art gallery there and check out Equilla's photo. Very cool, very inspiring. And one of the things that makes it a good photo is the expression on your face, Carl. I'm curious. So when you go to a cemetery like that in your scout uniform and you salute like that, kind of what's going through your mind there? How does that feel to you?
I felt like that. Well, I don't know how I felt.
That's a tricky
Well,
He
question.
was probably thinking Mama's taking pictures again. That's probably what he was thinking. But this,
The reaction.
this picture was actually taken. His great grandfather, what had passed 2 years before Carl was born. So he actually had never had an opportunity to meet him. So that's why this picture is so special. I think Veterans Day is an awesome opportunity to kind of share stories with our children, sharing with others about who our family members were and how they risked their lives to fight for our country, and just honoring them and just telling these stories. Um, I was telling Carl just a little bit more about him. He was born in 2007. My grandfather passed in 2005. But, right now we're virtually schooling 4 kids. So we have English, we have social studies, we have all these things. And so when we're looking at social studies, we're talking about, the different wars, the different, right now the election that was going on. But sometimes the kids kind of feel displaced from what we're reading in the book. So to be able to kind of relate this to what's going on, I think Veterans Day is an awesome opportunity. Just a little bit more about my grandfather. He was born in Woodson, Arkansas. He was raised by his mom and dad, has several brothers and sisters, and he went to high school in Little Rock at Dunbar High School. Dunbar High School was one of the only Black high schools that African Americans could go to in Little Rock. Because a lot of people are aware about Central High, but before desegregation happened, it was Dunbar High School. So he went to Dunbar High School, and so while he was in high school, he actually quit high school to go join the Army to fight for our country in World War II. So just telling that story, it just kind of connects it and just kind of makes it more relevant versus just reading in the book. So
that's a great
Absolutely.
story.
And you hit on such a good point that it's very easy to be disconnected from that time. It's, as we look at these posts on social media, we see this picture, hear this story. It's just so foreign to a lot of us. There's always struggles. We've got, modern day struggles now, but what people went through then is just totally different to us. We've got a few comments. People are really enjoying hearing this. Kim says, thank you to your family for their service. She reiterates the land of the free because of the brave. Very true, especially when we talk about these veterans. New York City Cub Scout Pack touches on a very good point. They say they're sad they couldn't march in the New York City Veterans Day parade this year because it was canceled. So I think a lot of scouts are facing that right now. A lot of times there's wreath laying or flags that go up in different different grave sites, or I don't know, museums and city halls and all that. A lot of that's not happening this year just because we can't gather groups in the same way. I don't know, I'm putting you guys on the spot, but is your unit doing anything, or have you been able to do anything patriotic, I guess, during the season?
Well, what we're doing right now is we are meeting virtually. So every other week, the scouts are able to meet and still continue their work with working towards their merit badges. There's an awesome group. We are part of PAC 467, and it's affiliated with the St. Mark Baptist Church here in Little Rock, Arkansas. And we haven't missed a beat as far as meeting. There are still individuals working hard, moms and dads and leaders. Mr. Piggy is our leader here in PAC 467, and we're just still excited. And I think right now in this virtual environment, we are connecting more with our families one-on-one. versus the parades, versus, all those things that we do out in the community. I think it's really important we connect with our families and learn those stories of veterans that are out there.
Very,
What a,
very
what a
good
great
point.
a lot of folks are having to do scouting at home now, and they are, for better or worse, forced to be with their families, right? So you guys are certainly making taking advantage of that opportunity and getting to learn a lot about your own family history, right? And your own history of service within your family. Equilla, I wonder, did you ever talk to your grandfather about his time in the service, or any other members of your family about what it was like to serve?
Well, with my grandfather, I was the youngest in the family. So with my grandfather, I didn't. But my father, again, I mentioned he just passed recently. He was a Army veteran of the Vietnam War, and I'm from Detroit, Michigan. So he was a part of the Coleman A. Young Post 202, and that's just the local veterans post there. And not until more recent years did he tell me about his experience and what he actually had to do when he was in Vietnam. Um, I don't know, I'm not sure if a lot of the audience is familiar, but that was one of the wars where young men were drafted. So there was a lot of controversy over going to war and fighting for the country. But then one of the stories that, was told to my dad is that in the community in Detroit, they said they wanted to go and fight. They wanted to go and fight for their country. So before they got their letter to be drafted, they went and they signed up. So those are the stories I heard about our courageous, just my dad, my uncle, Ronald Slaughter, he's still alive. And he's told me a little bit about his experience in the war. And it just makes you appreciate life. It makes you appreciate that you're American. It makes you appreciate just the small things. So I really appreciate all of our veterans, no matter what war they participated in, for going and risking their lives for our liberties today.
Right. And if you know living veterans, if you're watching this, living veterans, thank them, because we talk
Yes.
about Vietnam War. There are some veterans who just were not thanked enough. When they got back, they were, it's just a different time period. Be sure to thank these people while they're still alive, and gather their stories. It's actually part of one of the Cub Scout adventures is learning a little bit about someone in your family. If you're going to do that, you may as well record it. You may share that with your kids one day. I know my dad did that with his dad. Xavier, one of our regular viewers, says Happy Veterans Day. And we were just talking before this, the difference between Veterans Day and Memorial Day. And Erin, I know you have some statistics and some facts about how Veterans Day came to be, right?
I do. I wanted to just share real quick with our viewers who might not be 100% familiar. Veterans Day is been around for a long time. So Veterans Day originally started at the end of World War I, which more than 100 years ago, on November 11th, 1918, that's when the Allied powers signed a ceasefire agreement with Germany. They were in France when it happened. It happened at 11 a.m. on that day, and that brought what we now call World War I to a close. They didn't call it that at the time because they didn't know there was going to be a second one, but we now know it as World War I. And so November 11th was originally called Armistice Day. Armistice is another word for treaty or agreement. And it was President Wilson who made that declaration. It was 1 year later. So it was November 11th, 1919 was technically the first Armistice Day. And I thought that President Wilson's speech at the time, the words that he said, pretty powerful stuff. I'm going to read them here just real quick, guys, if you could just humor me. President Wilson said on that day in 1919, "To us in America, the reflections of Armistice Day will be filled with solemn pride in the heroism of those who died in the country's service, and with gratitude for the victory, both because of the thing from which it has freed us and because of the opportunity it has given America to show her sympathy with peace and justice in the councils of the nations." And that was the first ever, at the time, Armistice Day. Now, a few decades later, unfortunately, World War II happened, and it was in 1954 that Armistice Day became Veterans Day. And we now honor veterans, as you guys heard, from all wars, World War I, World War II, Vietnam, any sort of conflict that the United States was involved in. We honor our veterans. And by the way, it's not just a United States thing. I say the United States. The spirit of Veterans Day is celebrated in many, many other countries. There are 54 countries currently in the British Commonwealth, and they call it Remembrance Day. So today, while we're celebrating Veterans Day, they are celebrating Remembrance Day. My last little bit of trivia here, Gina. A lot of folks in those countries call it Poppy Day. Do you know why that is, Gina? Any guesses why they call it Poppy Day?
You know, I
Or
don't,
Carl?
but one, yeah, you guys might know. One clue that I have, I know that sometimes I've seen veterans, like associations outside of supermarkets, and if you make a donation, they give you a poppy, like a little poppy you can put on your lapel, but I don't know why.
That's exactly right. So, and that's a big deal, I guess, in the British Commonwealth. They give out, it's an artificial flower. They call them poppies. And if you make a donation, yeah, it's almost like, getting a patch in Scouts or something like that. If you make a donation, you get a poppy to put on your, put on your clothing, and you wear it around for that day, just to show that you support veterans. So that's not the official term, but the unofficial sort of slang term for Remembrance Day in those countries is Poppy Day. I thought that was kind of interesting. So the spirit of Veterans Day, obviously we celebrate it here in the United States, but it's also celebrated in many other countries as well.
Okay, so now that you say that, that makes me realize I think it's like the veterans of foreign wars who will do that. And, we think about how grateful we are that people from this country fought for this country, but people from other countries were fighting for our country too, and vice versa. So even that's really unifying. It feels good to know, hey, we're all humans and we're all trying to do the right thing. Hopefully.
Yes, and certainly in World War
awesome.
I and World War II, our allies were critical to that, though. So yes.
Right. Well, I would love to look at that picture one more time of Carl, taken by Equilla. So this is truly a family affair. And we mentioned all of the wonderful veterans and their family. Equilla, I'm just curious, does this photo have a name?
It's just basically a salute to my great-grandfather. And I say that, again, that's where his great-grandfather, Alvester Walls, is buried. But there are, again, several veterans in our family. I mentioned his grandfather, Lee Walker. He was actually an Army veteran. My father, who's a Vietnam vet, my uncle, who's a Vietnam vet, 3 generations back, and also my uncle, my great uncle, Hadija Gray. He was in the Air Force. So quite a few of them were from Arkansas, and my father was from Detroit, Michigan. So.
Well, Carl, I know that you're still a young scout, but I don't know if you ever work on the communication merit badge. Just so you know, one of the requirements there is to interview a family member or a friend or something like that. I'm just going to recommend, maybe your uncle might be a good person to recommend. Just a thought. You might not be to that point yet in your scouting career, but I'm just throwing that out there, maybe as an idea. You sounds like your uncle might be a good subject to interview for something like that. Just something to keep in mind, Carl.
Yes, I agree. I've been trying to get some of my other uncles there. They have, some of them went to service, but the other ones have actual draft stories. So just to kind of document what was going on, because if you were in college with the Vietnam War, if you were in college, you weren't drafted. But if you went below a C average, they were sending that letter that semester trying to draft you for that war. So there are just so many unique stories. So I would encourage even the genealogy merit badge, where you have to go and research your history. So, like I mentioned, we have several generations back all the way to World War I with my great-great-grandfather, Herschel Harvey Gray. So it's just a unique opportunity just to learn more about your family. I'm a photographer, so I love to document those things. And I would just encourage the local posts, the Veterans of Foreign Wars. They are doing awesome things in the community. So if you guys are looking to support local charities. Look up your local post. In Detroit is the Coleman A. Young Post 202. I'm not sure what it is here in Little Rock, but again, look up Veterans of Foreign War. They offer scholarships for scouts, non-scouts. I have two Girl Scouts and a 5-year-old who's to be a lion cub. So we're definitely a scouting family.
Yes, you
That's
guys
awesome.
are.
I was just going to say real quick, the Scouts have a kind of a maybe unofficial, long-standing relationship with VFWs. They sponsor a lot of scouting troops, so we are absolutely on board with supporting them. So, and it's a great resource for everybody in your local community to go and find out more information. That's a great point.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to say too, Equilla has a lot of very good photography you guys can check out. If you're looking to see a little bit more of her work, be sure to check her out on Instagram. She's at Equilla Marie Photography. That's EQUILLAMARIE Photography. So definitely check her out.
And you can find a link to her Instagram page on the Boys Life Instagram page. All right, Gina, as Gina said, we posted the picture that she took this morning. We have tagged her in that photo. Is tagged the right word, Gina? Is that how you say that?
Yeah, you sound very hip.
Yeah, I'm very Instagram savvy, Carl, in case you couldn't tell. So go to the Boys Life Instagram page, like our photo, and then check out Equilla's other really cool work, by the way. Equilla, I like it a lot. It's very cool. So lots of good stuff there for your Wednesday afternoon, guys.
One more quick question for Carl. So sorry. This is totally off topic, Carl, but you were a Cub Scout in that picture, or, you know, kind of in between as a Weeblos. Now you're in Scouts BSA. What are you looking forward to in the next few years in Scouts?
Finishing a lot of my badges and doing things that I like in scouting.
What are some of the things you like, Carl? Do you have any favorite activities? Do you have any favorite activities in scouting that you like?
Yes, I like to go bike riding. I like drawing, and I like playing chess, and I like cooking.
Awesome. Very cool. That's nice. Yeah, well, that's what's really cool about scouting. A lot of people don't realize all those things Carl just listed, 4 pretty different activities, all part of the scouting program. You can learn to do that kind of stuff in Scout. So anybody's watching who's not in Scouts currently, Carl just put out a great ad right there to why you should sign up.
Yes, we're so excited. He's been involved since he was a Tiger Cub. And so we're constantly encouraging him to continue on to become Eagle Scout. It's just so many things you learn that kind of helps you in your day-to-day. I mean, it could be a coding merit badge. It could be, like you said, biking. He loves to rollerblade. It's a rollerblading, skating merit badge. And so those things that as a parent, you want to teach your child anyway, it's like a structured program, and all you have to do really is plug into that program and all those things. So any one of our moms or our dads in the group, they're an expert in one of those areas. Or, you know, pre-pandemic, we were attending a lot of events. We would go to Tennessee to a jamboree, or Carl, he would go to Michigan to go camping. So there are so many things, and I would just encourage parents to plug in and participate and be there when you are, you know, just participating with your child, you know, just to have that experience.
Hey, I'm just curious, Equilla, why did you sign him up for Scouts as a Tiger? You must have already been familiar with the program from members of your family? Yeah,
my nephew, he's 16, and again, he's like he has to complete his Eagle Project, Mesa Slaughter, and he's part of the Hartford Memorial Baptist Church group there in the Great Lakes region. So it was just kind of natural to, I would send my kids to Michigan for the summer. And so part of the summer, Carl would participate in Boy Scouts with his cousins there. So that's kind of how we participated. And my mom, she was actually she was there all the time. So she actually became one of the leaders. And so she's just become kind of an advocate to make sure not just her nephews and her grandchildren well, her grandchildren are involved, but so many others in the community that are looking and are interested in reaching Eagle Scout, and she's helping them also.
Very
Awesome.
cool. We got
Gina,
a few
I'm not sure we
comments.
could have found a better couple of folks to interview today.
I know, because Equilla's definitely a hero. As she said, she's schooling 4 children virtually from home right now, so that's impressive.
Yes.
Rob says to keep up the great work and earn those merit badges, Carl. And Sherilyn says she thinks you should go for Eagle. It's a great thing. She's also a Scout mom, so nobody would know better than you guys.
Yes. It's definitely a task. It's definitely a task, juggling all those activities. But one thing with virtual schooling right now, Scouts and Girl Scouts is allowing them to still have that interaction. So my girls look forward to jumping on their meeting with their Girl Scouts. I have a cadet in Girl Scouts, and then Carl looks forward to jumping on his meeting too, just to have that interaction, since we're not having it right now as virtual schooling. And their dad had been doing a great job too, because he does all the math and the science, and I do all the other subjects. So I just want to make sure, he's doing a great job too with that.
Well, then they've got a well-rounded group of teachers, because it sounds like you've got the arts nailed down. So you've got that side to present to them. Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, if there's anything else you guys want to say before we let you go, Aaron, same to you. If there's anything else we need to touch on, but otherwise, this has been awesome, and we'd love to have y'all back.
I just wanted to say real quick, thank you so much, guys, for not only coming on today. Thank you for being involved in the scouting program. We really, really appreciate that. Carl, you're a superstar. We love you, buddy. Thanks so much for coming on. And of course, most of all, on Veterans Day, family, for all of their service. It's probably not an exaggeration to say without folks like them, we wouldn't be here today. So really appreciate it very much. Another look at Equilla's wonderful photo. Thank God you sent this to me, Equilla, just a few days ago. Really appreciate it, reaching out to us and everything like that. We encourage, I think Gina and I would both encourage anybody out there who's watching who has photos like this. I know lots of Scouts BSA members and Cub Scouts do Veterans Day themed activities. Post those bad boys on Instagram, share them with us. We will share them, and we love to sort of spread the word, that this is one of many neat and cool activities that you can do in scouting. So.
Yes, and if I could add, the photo is going to be at the Library Square Gallery, and it's in downtown Little Rock, and it's minutes away from the Clinton Presidential Library, right on Clinton Presidential Drive, right off of the main street in downtown Little Rock. So I appreciate the folks over there just giving me an opportunity to display, and for you all, thank you, Aaron and Gina, for allowing us to come on today.
Course.
Anytime. Everybody who can, go check out that photo and thank a veteran today for sure.
Yes,
awesome.
Absolutely. Gina, good job.
Thank you. You guys too. Good job to everybody. We will be back on Friday for a special Thanksgiving TrekAt2. We're calling it Campsgiving. If you want to check that out, tune in 2 p.m. Central on Friday.
Carl, be sure to watch us on Friday, okay? Carl, be sure and tune in. Log into your mom's Facebook and watch us on Friday, okay?
We're cooking, Carl.
He has to go back to class. This is his virtual schooling, so he's going to go back to class.
Okay, never mind. Don't
skip school. Don't skip school. It's not worth it. But
right.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. See you guys later. Bye.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for watching, everybody. Appreciate it.